Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Asked Us, as in, if you did not know, you should have asked us, with Cairo and Daisy.
All right, so today we're diving into some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Sean Diddy Combs and these 120 accusations against him.
Right.
And just to get that number out there again.
Wow, yeah.
120 accusations, that's a lot to unpack.
It's certainly a lot to process, and I think that's what's so striking.
Yeah.
Is the sheer scope of these allegations. We're not talking about, just a handful of disgruntled people. This is a massive wave crashing down on Combs, and it's happening while he's already facing those other charges.
Right, and we should probably remind people what those were all about, too.
Yeah, absolutely. So those initial charges are related to sex trafficking and racketeering. That case has been brewing for a while now.
Right.
And I think it's important to clarify with both the existing case and these new accusations. Combs is considered innocent until proven guilty.
Of course, yeah.
We're talking about allegations here, not convictions.
Absolutely, got to keep that in mind. But even so, 120 accusers, that's got to be some kind of record, right?
Yeah.
And their lawyer, Tony Busby, he's been in the spotlight before.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make, because Busby represented those women who accused Deshaun Watson,
right,
that NFL quarterback. So he's been in the trenches with these types of cases before.
Right.
As for who's accusing Combs, we've got 60 men, 60 women.
Okay.
It's a mix. And geographically, they're spread out over 25 states, although California, New York, Georgia, and Florida seem to be hot spots.
So not just one group, one place, one story. But there's a big piece we haven't touched on yet, and it's what makes this whole thing so heavy. A lot of these accusers were really young when this allegedly went down.
Yeah. That's the real gut punch here, is that while the accusations spanned from 1991 to this year, at least 25 of those coming forward were underage at the time.
Yeah.
And this is where Busby seems to be making a strategic move by highlighting a few of their stories.
Like that 9-year-old that really stuck with me.
Exactly. He was supposedly at Bad Boys' offices in Manhattan for an audition with other young boys hoping for a record deal.
Wow.
He claims Combs and some others abused him there.
Yeah.
It's a chilling story. And there's another one Busby brought up of a 15-year-old girl flown to New York for a party, allegedly drugged and then raped by Combs.
That's it. It's hard to even fathom, but it sounds like these parties are just one part of a bigger picture Busby's trying to paint.
Right. He's not just saying these were isolated incidents. He's alleging a pattern. He's claiming that this alleged abuse extended beyond parties, pointing to incidents of coercion during auditions, too.
So young people desperate to break into the industry, allegedly taken advantage of.
Exactly. The claim is that promises of fame and fortune were used to pressure these aspiring artists, many of whom were young and starstruck.
Right.
You can see how that would be incredibly difficult to resist, even under normal circumstances, let alone in a potentially exploitative environment.
Right.
And this tactic, focusing on the pattern of behavior, is something we often see in civil cases, where it can be challenging to prove intent without a smoking gun.
Yeah, and that's where it gets really messed up, right? You've got these young, ambitious people maybe thinking this is their one shot.
Right.
And then someone like Combs, with all his power and influence, allegedly using that to exploit them.
It's a classic story, unfortunately, and it highlights those deeply ingrained power dynamics that exist in industries like entertainment and beyond.
Totally.
Yeah.
Think about it. You're trying to break into this world. Maybe you've been told no a million times, and suddenly the biggest name in the game is dangling your dream in front of you.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're willing to overlook red flags,
Absolutely. And that's what makes this whole conversation about power and exploitation so important.
Right.
It's not always as clear-cut as some people might think.
Yeah.
And it's also important to acknowledge, I think, the ripple effects of the Me Too movement here.
Oh, for sure.
We've seen a huge shift in recent years, with more people feeling empowered to speak out against these kinds of abuses, especially when powerful figures are involved.
For sure. And that brings us to Combs' response to all this. He's denying everything, right?
Completely, his attorney put out a statement calling it a reckless media circus.
Wow.
They're saying Combs completely denies ever abusing anyone, especially minors. And they're calling any claims to the contrary false and defamatory.
So he's gearing up for a fight, ready to take this to court.
It seems that way. His attorney has said he's looking forward to clearing his name and proving his innocence in court.
Which is his right, of course. Got to let the legal process do its thing.
Yeah.
But with this many accusations, I'm curious, what does that even look like? I know Busby mentioned something about civil suits and look-back windows. in New York and California. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. So civil cases, unlike criminal ones, are about getting financial compensation for harm done, not necessarily putting someone behind bars. Each of those accusers could file their own individual lawsuit, or they might even be able to band together in what's called a class action lawsuit.
Right.
Though that depends on the specifics of each case and whether a judge thinks it's appropriate.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those look-back windows? That sounds kind of complicated.
Not really. Basically, New York and California pass laws that temporarily lift the usual time limits for filing lawsuits related to sexual abuse.
Oh, wow.
This means even if something happened decades ago, like some of these allegations, the victims could still potentially have their day in court thanks to these windows.
Wow. So for those who maybe felt they couldn't come forward before this gives them a chance at justice they might not have had otherwise, that's huge.
Exactly. It's a game changer for a lot of people.
Speaking of game changers, this whole situation, the accusations, the potential lawsuits, Combs' response, it all feels like a turning point, not just for Combs himself, but for the music industry as a whole.
I agree. Whether or not these specific allegations are proven in court, they've shone a light on some very dark corners of the industry.
It's like everyone's watching, holding their breath to see what happens next.
Yeah.
What kind of impact do you think this could have, not just on Combs and the music business, but on how we view these powerful figures in general? It's like we're almost getting like a behind-the-scenes look. You know, this image of fame and success starts to crumble a little bit, and you have to wonder what's really going on.
Right.
Not just with Combs, but with anyone who holds that much power.
Yeah. It is a reality check, and it forces us, I think, to confront some uncomfortable truths about the systems that allow these kinds of abuses to happen.
Right.
And sometimes even protect the abusers.
And that's what makes this so much bigger than just one celebrity or one set of accusations.
Yeah.
This is about accountability, using your platform responsibly.
Right.
Believing those who come forward, no matter who they're accusing.
Absolutely. It's about creating a culture where people feel safe to speak out, knowing they'll be heard and taken seriously.
Right.
And that's something that goes far beyond just the entertainment industry.
100%. So as we wrap things up here, I want to throw it back to you listening. This story is far from over. We've got legal battles, brewing potential cultural shifts on the horizon. What impact do you think this will have in the long run on Combs' career, on the music industry itself, how we view power and influence? These are big questions.
It's a lot to unpack, and it's going to be fascinating and frankly crucial to see how it all plays out.
For sure. This is one of those moments where we really see those ripples spreading out, and we can't ignore them. Big thanks to you for helping us navigate this complex issue, and to you listening. Keep asking those tough questions, keep those conversations going, and until next time, keep diving deep. All right, before you head out, don't forget to hit that follow, subscribe, or stay connected button.
Trust us, you'll want to be here for it. So subscribe, share, and tell your friends.
We'll catch you next time.
Catch you next time.